This will be the overview of part 3, which will be our static site design. So I'm going to go over just a quick summary. I encourage you to read this thoroughly, but I do want to review just the gist of the assignment. So after you have developed your wireframes and you've worked through your initial concepts on your wireframes and your style tile, these pages will serve to inform your audience. You'll create your web pages, and these will serve to inform your audience about your organization and cause, and will be a source of information and resources. So again, you can pull from the parent organization's existing site for content. So for the written content, the information, you can pull from that, but you should add to or clearly highlight your organization and its cause and resources. So if you have to add to that and maybe you're not 100% sure what to write, look up similar organizations to what you're doing, and you can also borrow written content from them and tailor that to your site. So you don't have to write all the words in copy. You can borrow that from other places. Just make sure that you actually tailor it to your site. The static site will be the actual pages, and we will use that to prototype with. So first, you're going to create just the flat pages, just design the pages. And so static refers to flat. And then later in the next phase of this, after we have the pages themselves fine-tuned, we will add the interactivity during the prototyping phase. So your website should include the following. A home page plus, so this says plus 2 additional pages. Sorry guys, I'll go back and change that. That should read at least 1 additional page. So the goal is if you can get 2 additional pages, cool, but you have to have at least 1 for us to be able to add that prototyping. So the landing page, home page, which are the same thing, plus 1 more additional information content page. Okay, so we'll go back and edit that, but that will read on the updated version the home page plus 1 additional. So again, you can add up to 2 additional pages, but we need to have at least a minimum of 1. Okay, your header area with your site logo and branding, your hero image and or featured content area. I'm going to jump down in a minute and show you examples of that. Secondary content area and your donate and call to action items. Your footer area with contact info, necessary information, additional content as needed, determined by you and what your organization needs. And each page should be created on a separate artboard. You may condense and restructure content. Utilize images and data and infographics wherever possible. Utilize techniques such as call to action and storytelling that we've discussed in class. Imagery. So you can work with some of your site's original images, however, you're not obligated to work with these images. If you want or need to use other images, be sure they're high resolution and used on preferred photo sites. So some of my recommended sites are Pexels, Pixabay, and Unsplash. You can also search for free stock photos, and this will link you to a ton of sites. You don't want to just pull a random image off of Google because A, it's probably going to look like crap, and B, it's probably copyrighted and you don't have the rights to use that image. Images on these types of sites are there for people to use, and a lot of times you don't even have to attribute them, but pay really close attention to what the usage rights are when you are downloading images. Type and hierarchy. So remember, good sites use simple typography, no more than 2 typefaces. It's highly recommended that you find 1 large type family and work within that. So I recommend Adobe Fonts, Google Fonts, and remember, good UX starts with a clear and easy to navigate hierarchy in that interface. So be sure to keep this in mind when you are building your static pages. So I have a video that explains quick setup in Illustrator, but as far as website dimensions, minimum of 1024 pixels wide, and then depending on the length of your page, you can drag your artboard down and edit your artboard to increase the length of your page. So the main thing is the width. So that we're referring to the screen width here. Minimum of 1024 pixels wide. Static site will be created. So you'll create your pages in Illustrator and export those as JPEG. If you are comfortable, unfortunately, because the nature of this class, we don't have a ton of time to focus on designing in Adobe XD. We will use XD for the prototype aspect of this, but if you are comfortable as designing in XD, or if you want to challenge yourself and take that a step further and learn how to design in XD, I'm going to provide you some resources on that. But you go with what you're most comfortable in. If Illustrator is good for you, that's totally fine. So again, do not feel obligated to do all of this in XD. We will do what we're most comfortable doing for this. We will use XD for the prototype part, but that will be, or provide you additional information for that. If you're using Illustrator presets, which they have a 1024 preset, this will be a web-ready document, but you want to make sure that you're measuring in pixels and you are in your RGB color space, because that is for screen. All right. So jumping down here to the next page, this is an example. The next two examples refer specifically to that landing page, to that home page. And I want to really focus on the structure of that, because that is the first page that we will come to, okay? So this is your landing page. And when I say 3 content areas, I'm referring to content areas on the page. So this is not number of pages. So for example, this rectangular area here is a content area, so that's a section. This section here is a content area, and this section here is a content area. So that is 1, 2, 3 content areas. Header area with site logo. Be sure to indicate what an active link and an inactive link looks like. That your hero image and or featured content, which is typically in this first module here. And then you have your secondary content areas that oftentimes contain the about, the mission statement, how to get involved. You've got volunteer and call to action items, and then you have your footer area with contact and necessary information, and then also additional content as determined by you. So if we look at our legend here, these blue areas indicate where there is an image. So this is a logo, this is our hero image, and then I've also broken this down so you can better see the hierarchy in the typography. The dark gray is the header text, and this lighter gray is the body text. So remember, establishing hierarchy in a website through type is very, very important for your user and your viewer. And then here we break this down into what you can actually see on a site. So I'm breaking down, so here we're showing you guys just like the bones, the wireframe of this, and then down at the bottom on the next pages showing you examples of these concepts in real time. Okay, so you guys can look at those on your own and study those. But the main thing that I want to call your attention to here is in website design, we refer to as an area, or not just website, but interface design, we refer to the area that is above the fold. So if you think of the screen, whether it's a monitor or an iPad, think of the screen as the front cover of a newspaper. So that's your first part, or your visible content. And then when you open that, or when you scroll down, you see more content. So you want to make sure that, you know, all your initial information for your site lies within that above the fold area, and hopefully it entices us, makes us want to scroll down and see more. So that is the overview of this assignment. Your individual due dates are over here in the right column in the orange box. And again, this is your home page landing page, plus 1 additional page. If you are able to add another page to make this a total of 3-page site, cool. But we have to have a minimum of 2 pages so that we can prototype.